Section 1, Installing Operations Manager. In this section, we're going to take a look at several topics: planning and designing your environment, the Operations Manager components, hardware-software prerequisites, installing the management group, installing additional management servers into a management group, managing untrusted domains with gateway servers, and reporting. In our first video in this section, we're going to look at planning and designing your environment. As an operations manager administrator, one of your more important tasks will be making sure that your components are installed in a manner that will support you beyond your current environment, like maybe 3 to 5 years down the road. I know you can do like a blanket approach. Well, I'll just buy the most powerful server that I can purchase at this particular time. Well, I mean, that might be an option, but that might be more than likely that's more than what you need to do your deployment. Luckily, we're going to look at how to plan your environment and some tools that Microsoft have made available for us, such as the Sizer Helping tool, and also look at some firewall settings, because if you incorrectly set your firewall, then that could cause some of your agents not to communicate with the management server. The installation itself is not the most difficult job, but the planning part is, because if you miscalculate or you installed your component incorrectly, or if your deployment falls short as far as RAM, as far as CPU, then your actual deployment won't live up to expectations and will cause you problems. Microsoft has infrastructure planning and design guides that are for Active Directory, Exchange, SQL, and of course System Center 2016. So if you haven't checked out these guides, you should, because they're a collection of Microsoft Word, Visio, and PowerPoint slides that kind of walk you through the sequence of the different core decisions that you'll need to make to design your infrastructure. Another tool that Microsoft has provided for you is the System Center 2016 Operations Manager Sizing Helper tool. Now, this tool is an Excel document that allows you to choose from different deployment scenarios, and it contains recommendations around supported configurations, some best practices, supported RAM, storage configuration, best practices. And without this tool, you're basically guessing as far as capacity is concerned. So this tool allows you to calculate the number of Windows-based computers to monitor, the number of network devices to monitor, whether application performance monitoring should be enabled, and it makes recommendations about the total number of management servers, the hardware specifications for the management servers, your operational database, and the data warehouse database, along with the hardware specs for your web console and reporting server. To use this tool, you can do a search for the Sizing Helper tool, and the latest version for Operations Manager 2016 is not out there. You can still use the one for 2012, and it allows you to open it up or save this particular document. I have it already open. Now, when the document opens up, it opens up to several different sections. Under the Getting Started, you see some supported configuration, best practices, and there are tabs along the bottom for supported configurations and best practices, how many computers, network devices, application performance monitoring are you going to have enabled. And you can actually change these settings and then click the Submit button, and you can determine the different, let me see, if I have 500 Windows computers, okay, let me enable the content. So if I want 500 Windows computers and 100 network devices and click Submit, it tells me my hardware as far as the 4-disk RAID 10, 8 gigs of RAM, 4 cores for my management server. The management server managing up to 500 agents plus one management server for HA and managing up to 5 SDK user totals. Resource pool, basically 2 management servers per resource pool. And as far as the database, the operational database, the web console, and the SQL Server. So it gives you these options based on the input that you selected. And you can see the size of the database, projected size of the database, depending upon the retention settings, uh, the DW database based on the retention settings of a year, and your operations database based on the retention settings for 7 days. And you just go back under the different supported scenarios and you can actually change any of these particular settings. So very useful tool. Once you have your environment kind of envisioned, another thing that you'll have to be mindful of are the firewall exceptions. You may need to create firewall exceptions if you need to monitor computers within a trusted domain, a trusted boundary, or a device that may reside in your perimeter network, or if there's a firewall between two operations manager components. Again, Microsoft comes to the rescue because on their TechNet website, they actually have the system requirements for Operations Manager, and that this was just released back in May. So these are the most up-to-date requirements, even though they mention Operations Manager 2012. These are definitely still the settings for 2016. And if you scroll all the way down to this particular website, and the only thing that I did was I did a search for firewall ports for Operations Manager, and you see the different ports that you'll need to open. And the neat thing about this is that Microsoft will give you an arrow as to which direction the ports should open up and whether they're configurable or not, such as the management server needs port 1433 to communicate with the operational database, and that is configurable during setup. And the management server needs port 1434 UDP coming from the operational database, and that is not configurable. And as you look and see all of the supported ports that you'll need, the majority of the ports will be port 5723 and port 1433. 1433 is the SQL port, 1523, I'm sorry, 5723 and 5724 are the ports that are used for the management server. This concludes the video section 1.